Welcome to, in my opinion, 4 White Day, a labyrinth named school. Our mute lead, He-Man, has a little crush on So-Young and wants to give her a gift for White Day, but misses his chance and also notices she left behind a diary. Thus, he decides to leave both in her desk at school during night for a nice morning surprise. Though after getting locked into school and meeting with other classmates, he's come to notice that something's rather odd about the school at nighttime. The janitors turn homicidal and sounds of restless spirits echo through the halls. He-Man also finds out So-Young is roaming around the school for some unknown reason. So it's up to him to find So-Young and look for a way to survive this hellish night. The story had my interest from the start, as the school is said to have quite the dark history, and unraveling the tale and seeing how it's connected to the characters was a joy. Speaking of the characters, they were okay. Besides our main lead, the rest of them have personalities, be it the flirty and bossy Sung-Young, or the more shy and timid Ji-Yeon. I will say some got more time to shine than others, which was kind of disappointing, but hey, at least none of the characters came off as annoying or hateable. They fit their roles just fine. I can't say much else without going into spoiler territory, but I will mention the game has 10 different endings to view. But don't worry, as you can get every single one on any of the difficulties. This game falls into the first-person horror adventure category. You'll be exploring the whole creepy school at night. Just move around, and when you see a circle, click to interact with said object, and be sure to check every single nook and cranny. Cause let me tell you, this game expects you to, as you can easily miss something. The game also expects you to pay attention to everything you pick up as well, since it could give you clues of where to go next and help you solve puzzles. There's really no hand-holding if you're playing on normal or above. The puzzles themselves were pretty well rounded. Some are easy while others make sure you use your brain and pay attention. There was at least 2 puzzles that gave me a real hard time, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. I went to look at a guide. You also have time puzzle moments where the game will give you a few minutes to solve the situation you're in, and you can't save either. These are actually pretty intense and fun, and some even come in the form of boss battles as you're trying to stop a spirit. Saving this game kind of reminds you of Resident Evil, as you find markers around the map and saving users 1 up. Just find a board and save. There is an autosave feature, but those usually only kick in after a cutscene or certain events. It was a pleasant surprise as well that you get the full map of the whole school pretty much right off the bat. This combined with tight and responsive controls makes exploring a breeze and more fun. You may have noticed during these cutscenes you get little dialogue choices. These are pretty important because depending on how you answer the girls, it will steer you to certain endings, as each girl has an invisible infinity gauge, and it basically boils down to being an ass or being nice. Some of the paths are pretty clear, but some paths require an extra step or two that isn't all that obvious. There's even an extra character you can make show up in the game and even play as, unlocking her very own endings. But it's only possible when unlocking a certain other end. These extra paths and endings also help flesh out the story a bit and give you even more of a better understanding about what's going on and what led to it. I would recommend a guide if you're stumped, and also make use of those multiple save files. What's great is there's an ending collection you can check in the main menu. This shows which endings you've unlocked and even on what difficulty. You can also watch the ones you've unlocked if you want to over and over again. Another reward you get by unlocking certain endings, if you haven't noticed by the footage, is extra costumes to put on your characters, which helps liven things up a bit. Now, between solving puzzles and talking to cute girls, there is a constant threat in this game. The threat of the deadly janitor, and no, I'm not joking, this man will hunt you down and beat you to death. There are ways to lessen the times you run into him. Turning on the lights and leaving doors open attract more attention, so it's best to stick to your lighter, which, to be honest, is a pretty dang good lighter, as is not some puny light source. The game will also give you a heads up by showing you an eye on normal or below difficulty when he's around. You even hear sounds like jingles of keys or whistles as tells. If you do get seen, it's best to run to the nearest bathroom and hide in a stall, since you can't just run forever, as you will start to get tired and hazy, making you an even easier target. There are tranquilizers around the school that can help you last a bit more, but it's not a permanent solution. And if you do get whacked, there are health items laying around the school, and you can even buy some food from the vending machine with the coins you find laying around. Now, I do have a problem with the whole janitor thing. I know they wanted a constant threat, and that's fine, and you do get this great tense feeling while running for your life. However, after like the 30th time it happens, it starts to wear thin and goes from tense to utterly slow and boring. It's even more boring when you know where you gotta go, and of course the janitor knows as well and will stay in that area until he slowly, and I mean slowly, checks it out and leaves. Thankfully, certain moments in the game disappears, like when doing those time puzzles, and there are some key items that if you don't collect right away, you can look around with ease. Though after picking it up, it triggers his spawn and you have to deal with him. Depending on the difficulty, he could be less of a pain in the ass or much more of a pain in the ass. While exploring and collecting notes that shows a little bit of what goes on in this school, there are other notes that will catch your eyes even more. These are the ghost stories, which help you explore more of the dark past of the school. Now, I love me some ghost stories such as the ones I read as a kid, like from the Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark series, and I must say, these are some dang good ones. Each of the 20 tales had me fully engrossed and left me saying wow by the end. I don't want to say too much since it's better to read them on your own, but they are worth your time to seek out. I say seek out since while there are some that are just lying around, others are well hidden. Just like how you figure out the puzzles in this game, pay attention to your notes and you'll find the rest. You can also go back to any of the sections in the school if you want to come over an area again before going to the final section of the game. A nice little twist the game added is that there are corresponding ghosts to each story that you can run into while playing after interacting with certain items. Some can also damage you, so watch out. What sucks is unlike the ghost stories which can be collected on any difficulty, a huge chunk of the ghost can only be triggered on hard mode. You might be wondering, why does this suck? Well, you remember the janitor I talked about? That's why. The game does keep a record of all the stories and ghosts you've collected, which you can check anytime you want to read them over and see which ghost goes with which story. There's also little character dolls you can collect, but it's only doable in hell mode, where the janitor is insane and there's no saving as the markers count as continues. So if you want to collect those, by all means go and try. The game actually looks really good. The character models themselves are nice, detailed, and clean. You can actually pick out a costume and see how the characters used to look before this remake spruced them up, and it's a huge upgrade. I also really like the design of the spirits you can encounter and how each of them are varied in their own grotesque way. It really makes me look forward to seeing each one. Now the school itself and its 4 areas thankfully look visually different so you won't get bored with your surroundings, and while not super detailed, still look nice to the eyes. The English voice acting itself is surprisingly well done. I don't know why, but for some reason I thought it was going to be just awful. Thankfully I was proven wrong as every voice fits perfectly. And while there is this one quick scene where it seems like they cut the dialogue abruptly, it's only that one time and it's not a big deal. If you'd rather hear the Korean voice work, you can pick that as well.
I'm terrified. I just don't understand why all this happened. We'll never get out of here. We're all going to die. Do you really think you can?
Now for the big question of does this game create a good horror atmosphere, and I will have to say yes. It's pretty silent for most of your exploration, but the sounds of creaking floors, haunting low voices, banging of the windows, and much more make for a terrifying experience. I would find myself constantly on my toes while exploring, not knowing what was going to come next, and getting sucked into the setting more and more. It was, to put it simply, great. There was no real issues with the frame rate and no crazy bugs. The camera is fine as well. Well, that was great. Yeah, I had some problems with the janitor and how annoying that can be, but that wasn't enough to drag the whole game down. While the characters were just okay, the story and school's history sucked me in. Not to mention, just exploring was fun and so were the puzzles. My first run took me about 8 hours to complete, and for the replay value you have the 10 endings I mentioned, the ghost stories, and the ghosts attached to them, which was all worth going for. Heck, even with my problems with the janitor, I still did a hard run solely to get the ghost. The game is pleasing to the eyes, and let's not forget the great atmosphere it gives off. I have to say, if you're in the mood for a horror game and enjoy Korean horror, then I wholly recommend this title. I hope you enjoy my thoughts on this game, and for gamer's sake, keep gaming.